What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 21. And we start today's episode off coming back in a victory against Swansea in the last game, in the last episode, taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach in the first leg of the Europa League. Round of 16, where of course this year we've been asked to win the competition, our first year in Europe after our sort of ghost campaign last season. Asked to win this competition alongside the FA Cup as well. I said that I only want one of the two trophies to satisfy me, despite the board wanting both. But also very recently, one trophy is going to have to be sacrificed, I feel like. With the Europa League or the FA Cup, you'll see the quarter-final tie against Luton in today's episode as well. But heading into the game, I didn't want it to be the Europa League. The added bonus of winning the Europa League is that you qualify for the Champions League as well, if you fail to do so via league position alone. So taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach, I picked a really strong team for the game. I picked a strong team really throughout the competition, apart from in the group stages, of course. And early on to the game, Adama Traore gave us the lead after a brilliant Renato Sanchez through ball. And, Traore is like a really unsung hero as part of this team. He gets an assist here for Andre Silva with 5 minutes to go in the first half to double our lead. I love the 1-2. I talked about the off-the-ball movement in this year's FIFA being so much more improved. Great back heel from Traore. He is an assist king, man, as we go 2 goals up. And I was looking on course to celebrate a very routine and comfortable victory in the first leg. However, 11 minutes after the restart, still leading by 2. Gifted the Germans a chance. They're trying to play out from the back with Nelson Semedo. Overhit the pass and an easy finish there from Serdar sent through one-on-one as Mönchengladbach grabbed themselves a consolation goal in the game, but what could prove to be a vital away goal for the tie. I've talked about it many times before in European ties when you're away from home in the first leg. Go for those away goals. The win, of course, is important, don't get me wrong, but you always want to make sure you've got at least one away goal to take back home for the second leg. They can prove to be absolutely vital in European ties from time to time. So whilst we're still in the driver's seat heading back to Germany, that goal there could prove to be absolutely crucial. And so for the second game of today's episode, this one being sandwiched in between our ties against the German side in the Europa League, taking on Luton Town in the FA Cup quarter-final here. 3 teams from the Championship have got to the last 8 of the FA Cup. That's mightily impressive, and we've been very fortunate in this competition as well. We've had some very unlucky moments this season and throughout the course to say as well, as Adama Traore almost scored his second goal in 2. This one disallowed for offside, but we have been very fortunate in this competition, and I'll admit that for sure. All of the 3 previous rounds have been against teams outside of the Premier League. So we've had very favourable ties. We've been firm favourites for every single one of them, including this one, where in the second half we were still deadlocked at 0-0, still struggling to break the deadlock and get ourselves in front. The guy that will do it for us right before the hour mark, Raul Jimenez, of course, the Mexican. He's not playing our Europa League games as Andre Silva is our top scorer in that competition with 7, but Raul Jimenez, man, as great as we've seen Andre Silva being in his debut year for us this season, he is just absolutely bloody lethal. And I've talked about it before. I still don't understand why not a single bid came in for him in the summer. If a major European giant was going to put a bid in, for realism's sake, I probably would have accepted it. But the fact that not a single bid came in, it just absolutely blew my mind. But hey, what can I say? I'm glad that was the case, because this guy has been the key for us this season right now, on the cusp of Champions League qualification, 1 foot into the Europa League quarterfinals, and also heading in to the FA Cup semi-finals as well. He wrapped the game up in the final moments of the match as well. Rounding the goalkeeper. Once again, I had to include it right from the back. Another goal, starting with Paulo Gazzaniga playing from the back. I absolutely love Gazamang, and he'll always be one of my favourite players in FIFA history. But yeah, Jimenez bagging both goals in a brace in a 2-0 victory as we progress to the FA Cup semi-finals. But for the final 4, as you can see, we've got Chelsea in the semi-finals. Liverpool versus Man City, the best 2 teams in England, going head-to-head in the semi-final. There, of course, Liverpool are the holders of the competition. They knocked us out in the semi-finals last year. We'll be taking on Lampard's side though at Wembley in the final 4, and this time around we couldn't have a Championship side because there were none left. But yeah, Chelsea in the semi-finals. I think that would be very even indeed. In fact, Chelsea this season have struggled for form in this year's game, in this season, in this save, so I feel that would be a very even tie, and we've got a strong chance of progressing to the FA Cup final, of course last season being knocked out in the final 4. But still, for our third game of 5 in today's episode, travelling to Germany for the second leg of our Europa League round of 16 tie. Started the game come off stronger. Barkley denied early, but right before the break, Ollie McBurney now playing for Mönchengladbach. I tell you, man, it's so hard to keep a career mode realistic when the AI make transfers like this. But regardless, the English-born Scotsman heads Mönchengladbach into the lead right before the break, making it 1-0 after heading in that corner, and that was how the game would finish. The former Blade and Swansea striker turns to be the hero for Borussia Mönchengladbach as they progress to quarterfinals of the Europa League, and we are knocked out in the last 16. Very disappointing indeed. Couldn't really create any chances in this game. I really struggled. We started off okay, but once Mönchengladbach got themselves in front, I just could not respond whatsoever. So we are out of the Europa League in the round of 16 stage, and as frustrating as that is, and as annoying as it is, and of course the board won't be happy with that because they said to win the competition, I'm kind of thinking it might well prove to be a blessing in disguise, because right now 10 games to go in the Premier League. As you can see, we're still in the top 4 just, we do have a game or two in hand on teams around us right now. I think it could prove to be a blessing in disguise, because I talked about it before, we don't really have the depth to be competitive in 3 different competitions to close out the season with so many games coming thick and fast. I feel like only the biggest teams with the biggest squads can be competitive for 3 or more competitions, especially in the closing stages of a season when the games come, you know, so often and so frequently. So it could prove to be a blessing in disguise that I said I only want 1 trophy. I think the FA Cup is probably our most winnable competition. We're into the final 4 of that, and in the Premier League as well, we're still in the top 4, and the main reason I wanted the Europa League was not for the trophy itself, but to qualify for the Champions League. So possibly, just possibly, that might prove to be a blessing in disguise. And taking on the Saints for our 4th game of 5 in today's episode, away at St Mary's right now, sat in mid-table with a chance to extend our point cushion to 3 over 5th and 6th, where Spurs and Manchester United occupy those places in the Europa League. Tough first half, but 5 minutes after the restart, that man gets us in front, Renato Sanchez. We know Jimenez is our player of the season this year, but Sanchez has been so much more reliable as a goal scorer in this side. But right after we got ourselves in front, this was so frustrating. Trying to pass out from the back with Johnny. I don't know why on earth he underhit the pass so much there, but he did. Quick little knock off to Danny Ings, and Ings gives the Saints the leveller soon after we got ourselves in front. Incredibly frustrating goal to surrender there as we were pegged back, and it was 1-1. But with 12 minutes to go, needing to win this game, not just draw it. When we need a hero, when we need someone to do it for us in the closing stages. Don't ask me about the celebration. I don't know why I just ran around the circle ran a circle around the Damatrari, but when we need a guy to rescue us, it's often Rao that is the rescuer. So Rao to the rescue once again. 2-1, Wolves back in front, and that was how the game would finish as well. The Mexican beast with, I believe, goal number 26 or possibly 27 for the season. Touch wood, he should surely hit the 30 mark this year, and probably, well, based on how many goals he's in front right now, win the Golden Boot as well after just missing out on it by 1 last season. I'm not sure if he's going to catch up to Ivan Toney, of course, in the 40 club right now. I certainly hope he does. And by the way, speaking of Ivan Toney, how good has the shocker been for Brentford this year in real life, man? I gotta say, it's quite nice to see, I must admit there. But yeah, I hope he does hit 40. He's still got a chance to do it, but he does need to get a move on in the final 10 games. And for our 5th and final one of today's episode, taking on Leicester, also right now sat in mid-table, Brendan Rodgers' side coming to take us on here at Molineux. As we know, it's incredibly tight in the race for Champions League football, so we simply cannot afford to slip up in these sort of games at home. And 11 minutes in to the match, Renato Sanchez gets his 2nd goal into. He has been unbelievable once again this year. I mean, last season, his 1st year for the club, one of our players of the season. This year he's been even better. I think that's goal number 14 or possibly 15 in the Premier League this season for our box-to-box midfielder. And I've said it so many times, and I'll say it once again, if you need a new box-to-box in this year's career mode, buy Renato Sanchez. But don't use this highlight here as proof as why you shouldn't buy him, because I don't know what on earth happened here. Leicester get themselves their leveller through Yuri Tielemans, who scored in a reverse fixture at the King Power here. This has happened to me so often in this year's FIFA, and I'm not sure if you guys are having the same problem as me, but tackles, or stand tackles I should say, don't seem to be very convincing, and for some reason you often lose possession or just simply don't gain it when you've made a stand tackle. I did there with Sanchez and Connor Cody together, yet somehow the Belgian split both of them and found a goal to get Leicester back on level terms. However, 20 minutes to go, still tied at 1-1. Raul Jimenez will put us back in front to make it 2-1 and restore our lead. Really, really weird AI marking though, I must say. I've noticed this quite a lot in this year's FIFA as well. For some reason, one of the AI defenders always seems to stand really far back and play a lot of players on side. I don't know why on earth that happened there, but for some reason Jimenez was sent through one-on-one and managed to put ourselves back in front. And with 6 minutes to go, still leading by a single goal. Renato Sanchez would bag his brace and get the champagne and the man of the match display as well. What a brilliant through ball for Jimenez's goal, but what a fantastic finish here to put us 3-1 up. A nice little knock off there into the path of Sanchez, and what a finish as well with the weaker left foot into the top corner. I love Renato Sanchez in this year's career, man. He's so good. And stoppage time, still leading by 2. Points were secure, points were safe, no doubt about it. But Ross Barkley, what a goal this was by the former Chelsea. I was so funny because I was running through and it was on his weaker left foot, and I thought, I'm not going to smack it like Renato Sanchez's goal. I try not to have too many carbon copy type of goals in the games I play, so I thought I'd just try and chip it and see if I can catch Kasper Schmeichel out. I've talked about this quite a bit as well. The chip goals, the chip shots in this year's FIFA are ridiculously overpowered. I mean, with the weaker foot or not, they're always so accurate, and the trajectory is almost inch perfect. It certainly was for that. Kasper Schmeichel isn't even far off his line, but he still looped over the Dane into the far corner. Barkley wraps up the points in style. 4-1 the final score. And as you can see, 8 games to go. We are still in the top 4. We now jumped into 3rd place, leapfrogging Arsenal. We're only ahead of Spurs on goal difference right now, though we do have the game in hand on both North London clubs in 4th and 5th, and possibly, just possibly, it will prove to be a blessing in disguise. We were knocked out of the Europa League. But that was this episode of the Realistic Career Mode, guys. So a big thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed it, and if you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode very soon.